Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In Twist mode, the format changes on a regular basis, so it's kind of awkward to spend dust, especially a lot of dust in Twist decks. So that got me thinking, for this beta season, the new age format with pure restrictions, so only class cards are allowed, what would be the cheapest deck that you could build that could actually win some games? So I went ahead and started building. And the obvious thing to attempt is Unholy Death Knight, because Unholy Death Knight is something that you can build from mainly core set cards. You can also play that in standard to an extent, but it's a little bit more difficult with the restriction to only use class cards, because then you actually don't have enough core set cards to build an Unholy Death Knight if you only use class cards. So I had to add a few commons outside of the core set, but still this turned out to be a really cheap deck. It's a deck that swarms the board and then ends the games with Grave Strength, with Anti-Magic Shell, and sometimes even with Lord Marrowgar. The deck has some challenges in Twist format, because there are not a lot of 1 or 2 drops that you can put in the deck, and that makes it more difficult to get on the board early and start the game in a good shape. You really need to mulligan hard for Bodybagger and for Plagued Grain. And then after Bodybagger or Plagued Grain, Battle for Necromancer is great. Plague Strike also works without either of those cards. So you really have to mulligan very hard for your opening, because if you fail to find any of your 1 or 2 drops, then you're in for a really bad game. But if you find some of these, then you can just start building on that board, and whenever you have a board, you're always a threat. You have stuff like Possessifier, for example, that gives you cards with Reborn. You have Graveyard Shift that gives you cards with Reborn, and the opponent really kind of has to clear those, because if they're on the board, then there's always the risk that you Grave Strength them, you give them buffs, and then you just hit them in the face and they die. So actually, this isn't terrible in the current meta. I mean, it can even challenge stuff like Drakefire Amulet Mages, because Drakefire Amulet Mage doesn't really do a whole lot early on. You get some board, then maybe you get an anti-magic shell and they can't target your minions anymore, and you just might be fast enough to go under them and beat them before they get to do their combo. So overall, I had a pretty decent time with this. I had a 5-2 record playing this deck, so that's surprisingly good. Obviously small sample sizes, so your mileage may vary, but I believe this is the cheapest deck that you can play in Twist and still win some games. And this is what it all looks like in action. It's a little hard. You have to mulligan very hard for the 1-drops, and if you fail to get any, then like Bodybagger and Plague Grain are really so not enough 1-drops, I suppose. Just can't do enough with the 1-drops there, and those are all the available 1-drops if you play on a budget. Drakefire Amulet. That's the mage, that's the mage. I believe I need to play for tempo here. Not that I have a lot of tempo, because I don't have other minions that I could play. I won't have the corpses for the horrors. Well, I wish I had that last turn. But it is what it is. 4 corpses are impossible. It's gonna be Coin Possessifier on 4, I think. Well, Mortician at least is something. Let's see, what can we find? I think we take this and coin it out. I think that's got to be to play. This opens up an anti-magic shell for next turn. Hoping they don't have an AoE spell now. Obviously if they have Fire Sail here, then the board is dead, but what can you do? Then I bring the Malignant Horror if they Fire Sail this, so I suppose there's always some upsides. Okay. This is gonna be an anti-magic shell then. Then they won't be able to target these. That's not terrible, but I need this one. So they can't target my stuff. But it's probably too slow. What if I had... What if I had the Grave Strength? Even then it's probably too slow. Just realized they didn't nerf the Quest Shaman. Yeah, I know. It's very early. Solid Alibi. Okay. Go with the Possessive Fire. Kill that. Face a little. Set up for like a potential Grave Strength play. But I might also just die to the combo. Now there are minions that can be targeted by spells as well. Okay. Alright, they are stalling. They're probably winning next turn. Probably. But we'll do what we can. We make this untargetable for now. And then we'll wait and see what happens. They have a lot of discounts now. And they can always just shoot their own Haley with small spells. That's totally fine. And Haleys will just blast. We have seen 2 solid alibis. Will there be more?
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
Okay. Then they will need Fire Sale, I suppose. Or a solid alibi. Or, I mean, they could have... There's so many things they can have. Do they really have a 3rd solid alibi right now? That would really suck now, wouldn't it? What are they doing? It appears that they're dying. I'm completely fine with that. Sometimes lucky. Priest. It's priest and mage and priest and mage. My goodness. Well, my answer is always squelchings to you. Squelch. I think we need to spend the coin now. I believe we just need to be take a very proactive approach here. If one of these dies, then Necrotic Mortician becomes a good play. And that's a little awkward, I guess. But that's nice. Alright. So far so good. Well, that's pretty nice. I could also trade this in order to play the Baron. That would save the Plague Strike and the Mortician for next turn. Which I think is an acceptable situation. We can do this. Starting from next turn, when they have an undead die, they can then play the AoE spell. You can take cards from my deck, but it doesn't matter when there are no good cards in my deck. True story. So I have the option to also draw into Mortician, which doesn't feel too bad. Draw into Mortician. Ooh, that wasn't great. Maybe that will be used for a Caged. Nah. Well, that failed maybe a little bit. I guess I should have thought that a little bit differently. Yep, here comes the undeath. But now that the undeath is gone,
I can be very
it's not around to clear the Possessifier.
I'm undead, not dead.
Oh, that I didn't expect from a Shadow Priest, I readily admit. That's something I did not expect from a Shadow Priest. Yeah, that completely caught me off guard.
Welcome to the cult.
Shisan, hey, DC Dolphos tomorrow. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's see if we can discover our way out of this. I probably have to check it now. Just some reverberations in the void, that's fine. I had the option to Plague Strike that one down as well.
What's yours will be mine.
They have Harvester of Envy? Okay, that's a surprise.
Reach for the skies.
But unless they also have... They don't have the Marrowgar, right?
Reach for the skies.
That's a pretty hilarious outcome.
Me have bags for you.
Filling up the board. Yeah, leaving my board up, that's also good for them. Right, so... Actually, I just killed them, right? Yeah, so I just killed them. I really wanted to do the Marrowgar, but I guess it's better to just kill them. They were trying to be all sorts of cute, but then they just got hit in the face. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.